Welcome to Unlearning with Laura, the podcast where you get to rewire your mind, reclaim your power, and break generational cycles. I'm Laura Stiles, clinical hypnotherapist and mindset coach, and founder of The Mindful Generation, the place where parents come to transform their lives and live with more purpose and freedom. Let's dive in. This episode is brought to you by KARRI, a screen-free voice messaging device designed for families who want connection, safety and independence without giving children a smartphone. As conscious parents, we know smartphones are powerful tools, but they also come with pressure, distraction and risks that developing brains simply aren't built for. KARRI, spelt KARRI, offers an awesome alternative, allowing children to stay connected with the people who matter most, while protecting their emotional well-being and their childhood. You can take advantage of 15% off the Messenger One device. Just use code MindfulGen15 at the checkout. Check the link in the show notes to find out more. But for now, let's tune in. Hey, this is going to be a really short and sweet episode today. Just a real kind of general casual check-in to see how everyone is and maybe just give a little update on things as well. First of all, as we enter the end of May, I'm recording this on the 21st of May, and I'm just looking at the weather, which is coming up over half-term week. So if you're off for half-term at the end of May, oh my goodness, what a treat you are in for in the UK. It's 29 degrees Monday next week, 28 degrees Tuesday. Like, it's bonkers. So if you are away or just like having time off in the UK, wow, you've timed it well. And I hope that you get to enjoy some beautiful sunshine and make the most of the holiday vibes. Even if you're not going away, it sounds like the perfect week to not go away. We are actually heading away today. Later this evening, we are heading over to Gatwick and we're flying to Corfu for a big family holiday to celebrate both my parents' 70th birthdays. And it's the first time that we have ever done a holiday with my entire side of the family. That includes all the partners. So everyone's flying from all over the world to meet up in Corfu for a week. And I'm very excited because 12 adults, no, that's wrong. Sorry, 10 adults, 2 kids, who are our kids. Like, what could go wrong? Surely I'm going to get to enjoy the week on the sun lounger, using the sauna and just relaxing while everyone else looks after my boys. What do you think? Fingers crossed. Let's see. So whatever you're up to in the coming week ahead, whether you're not taking time off, whether you are taking time off, I just hope that you get time to look after yourself. I hope that you make time to regulate your nervous system where it's needed. Sometimes it can be really hard to be out of routine. So if you are taking any time off and your kids are off school, if they're school age, I really hope you can make some time to just find those micro moments of regulation where it's needed. So whether you can put your feet in the grass in the garden for a minute or two, whether you can have a little dance for a minute or two to shake off any excess activation in your body, whether you need to gargle some water, give yourself a hug, or take a walk around the block, or just do some really gentle, slow stretches like yoga stretches, just to stretch out your body, or shake your legs whilst you're lying on the ground. Any of these practices and short techniques are ways to really regulate in the moment where it's needed. And if you have worked with me, you'll know what I mean, because this is all, relating to the vagus nerve and soothing that and allowing yourself to just come back to that rest and digest state if you are feeling stressed and activated. So, as you might be able to tell, I have not planned this episode at all. I'm literally just saying whatever comes to mind, but I'd love to hear how you all are. If you ever listen to these episodes and find value in them, please do us a favour and pop a comment on wherever you listen to your podcast. It would be so appreciated. I'd be super grateful if you could put any sort of feedback, any sort of comment, or even just rate the episode, because it really does help me in growing this podcast. And I'm also open to hearing what you want to hear on the podcast as well. So if you have ideas of maybe a particular guest or topic or theme that you want to hear about and that you want me to dive into with another expert, please do let me know. Like, feel free to drop me an email or a DM on social media and just say, hey, Laura, I'd love it if you could talk about this or that, because at the end of the day, you're the audience, and I'd love to hear what you want to hear more of. In saying that, some of the things that I've got lined up in the coming months are I do have someone coming on who is an expert in neurodiversity. So she is an ADHD coach, but deals with all sorts of neurodivergent brains. And she is an absolute guru when it comes to optimizing our behavior and habits and how we can go about our day if we are on any kind of spectrum. She will be offering so much value in that episode for anyone who does struggle with whether it's procrastination or struggling to focus, anything like that. I think that's going to be a really good conversation. So that's coming up soon. And I will also have an expert joining me to talk all about nutrition and naturopathy for perimenopausal women. So for anyone who loves to opt for the natural solution in supporting their health and their brain, especially when it comes to brain fog. So, for those who are running businesses or even just like ambitious women who are struggling with really kind of focusing and remembering things and trying to get their brain to feel like it's working at its best. She is going to be brilliant at explaining to us like what we should be eating, what we perhaps need more of in our diet as we enter this kind of midlife stage. So I'm very much looking forward to that conversation too. Okay, so reminders for you. This might feel helpful. Hopefully this adds some value to this really random episode that I'm just throwing together. But it's that time of year where we are entering the final kind of push towards the summer. So if you do have school-age kids, just remember to get organised with any holiday clubs, any summer childcare. Figure out how you're going to be planning those 5 to 6 weeks of the summer holidays if they are off. What's the plan? Let's think about how we can get organised and book things in before all the spaces go. This is also a reminder for myself because I need to do the same. Also, what can we do to really support our children? Because towards the end of the year, if you've got younger children, they can start to just feel very exhausted towards the end of the year, especially if the weather does start getting hotter. And I know year 6 kids have had SATs recently. I know that there's probably a lot of trips, sports days, all of the things tend to be packed into that last kind of term. And so where can we support them? Where can we lower expectations? Where can we meet them where they're at? Where can we try not to nag so much because of the patriarchal narrative that's in our head that's constantly driving us to tell them off or say no to this or say no to that? Where can we actually just perhaps let that go a little bit? Where can we say to ourselves, do you know what? That actually doesn't matter too much. Because sometimes inviting ease and flow into our lives can just do us such big favours. And I think often we are just in autopilot when we are getting these higher expectations and saying no and putting in really stringent rules when actually they may not need to be there. And sometimes it just causes so much friction. So it's just being mindful of where can we just let go of the friction and invite in some ease. The reason I mention that is because I've had a client recently who I think was in that loop of just saying no a lot. And there was a lot of friction and arguments and bickering happening between her and her children. And it was turning into this feeling of I'm not on their team anymore and it's me against them. And I think it just felt very stressful a lot of the time within their household. And it comes down to a lot of your conditioning as a parent, like just having those rules that would have been set for you as a child. And that is so deeply ingrained that we forget, actually, I don't have to do it this way. And actually, my beliefs for this particular thing are actually quite outdated and I can change that now and it doesn't matter. I'm allowed to do it differently. So I suppose I'm just inviting you to be aware of where you may want to change that loop or change that pattern and choose differently and really lower expectations of the kids as well. Because although really young ones are not capable or able to do particular things, like, for example, they don't listen very well because they're still learning that as a skill, sometimes even 7, 8, 9-year-olds can still really struggle with a lot of things. And I think we have such higher expectations of that sort of age group, those tween sort of years. And as you go into the tween years, we have this expectation of, well, they can hold quite an intelligent conversation, and they're able to learn so well at school, and they know a lot of things now. So you treat them almost a little bit more like an older child, whereas sometimes they still do need to have that validation and to have that co-regulation and to get that extra connection. It's sometimes hard to remember that in the moment, that they are still quite young. They still have very undeveloped brains. And although they come across as fairly mature and smart, and their sense of humour is growing and they're becoming wittier and all of the things, they are still children with undeveloped brains. And sometimes we do need to cut them some slack. So I guess I'm just kind of reminding those who need to hear it where we can just loosen that grip a little bit. And I'm going to take my own advice with this, just thinking about the holiday. And for anyone else who's going on a holiday over this up and coming half term, where can we loosen the grip? And I'm not saying let all the boundaries go out the window. Boundaries give children security and they make them feel safe, and they are great to stick to. But where can we perhaps pre-plan some boundaries? I've had to really pre-plan some boundaries for this holiday around screens. Yes, we take an iPad on holiday because it just means that the journey there can be a lot more stress-free than if we didn't have it. And we're very aware that there's going to be a lot of entertainment, with all the adults that are coming on the holiday. There's also going to be evening entertainment. I also want them to just be outside as much as possible. But they are both fairly introverted, and I know they need their downtime. Similar to me, similar to my husband, we are not an extroverted family. We need to recharge our batteries. And I know that there's going to be a time, probably most days, where we're going to just have some downtime before dinner where we can relax, chill, and they may have a bit of screen time. But I want, I've spoken to my husband about what is the rule going to be? What is the boundary going to be? Let's pre-plan it. Let's stick to it. Let's communicate that to the boys so that they know this is the plan, so that they don't go on the holiday thinking they're just going to sit in the hotel room the entire time watching a screen. Absolutely not. If we pre-plan, prepare them, and sort of brief them on how we want this holiday to feel and look, then they know the expectation. So, yeah, I guess I'm just thinking out loud about how we can make our lives easier going into a week where there's perhaps not the regular routine that kids thrive on. So I think that's it from me today. I will leave all the usual links in the show notes. So if you're interested in finding more about how you would like to get some support from me, I have a power hour, a 4-week program or a 12-week program, and you can find all the details in the show notes. I also have a freebie on my website that was updated probably about 6 weeks ago now. So if you go to my website, mindful-generation.com, there will be a pop-up that offers you a freebie for getting support with bedtimes and offering blissful, relaxed, calm and regulated bedtimes. There's 5 different resources in there: audios, videos, hypnosis, an EFT tapping video, something you can use with your child, bedtime affirmations that you can print off. All of it is really easy to implement and it's absolutely free. So head over to my website if you'd like to take advantage of that. I've had many people report back to say that their bedtimes have been completely transformed. I find that this time of year is a good time to try new things at bedtime because we're getting the lighter mornings. If you use blackout blinds, they can be an absolute game changer. We had to remove ours a couple of years ago, and my boys now like to wear an eye mask. So that's cool because, darkness is really important for generating melatonin. Obviously, some children don't like the dark at all, and that's cool. But then, there's tips in there as to what you can do instead, what colour nightlight is best, how it works in terms of the science for settling to sleep, and how actually trying to force them to be calm and relaxed and sit still and stop talking is not helpful. And there's ideas in there around what actually can be helpful, because sometimes some children need to let off some steam and move around and run around at bedtime. So yeah, there's lots of very helpful science-backed information in that freebie. So I thought I'd mention that. And I am at capacity at the moment with my client work, which is an amazing place to be. But it just means if you'd like to work with me, do find the link in the show notes to set up a free call, no obligation. We can just have a little coffee chat, figure out where your unconscious beliefs and thoughts and patterns are holding you back, and work with your nervous system to get you back to a place of thriving. So from about mid to late June onwards, I think I might have 1 or 2 more spaces for my 4-week or 12-week program. Okay, that's it from me. Take care of yourself and see you soon.